What is up, Booger Beans? Welcome back to another episode of Adventures of Boog. On this episode, we are going to be finishing the Great Water Tank install, as well as hopefully finishing the cabinet install too. So what I'm starting with is this black asphalt undercoating. So we're going to be painting the frame with that. This stuff's really goopy, lasts a really long time, prevents rust. It's quite a strong paint for underneath the bus, so this frame won't rust, and it'll also smooth out any like kind of rough edges and stuff to ensure that the tank doesn't get punctured or wear down over time. So yeah, that's what we're up to. Let's get to it. Okay, so that asphalt undercoating takes about 6 hours to dry. And then we'll have to flip it over and recoat the bottom side that's touching the ground right now. But it's basically all covered. Looks pretty good. And so now we're going to run to town and get all the fittings we need for our Great Water tank. So let's head there. Okay, so we headed over to UFA and we were able to get our bulkhead fitting. So we got a 2-inch bulkhead fitting for the inline. So from our kitchen sink, our vanity sink, and our shower will be 2 inches. So the 2 sink lines will be 1.5 inches. They'll come together, drop down through the floor, and then they will go through this sanitary tee and drop into the 2-inch line coming from the shower, and then that will run into the tank. The outlet is 1.5 inch outlet, so that's this guy right here. This will be in the bottom of the tank. Then we have a 90-degree elbow. Let me just put this on here. So this 90-degree elbow will then be attached to here, like so. After that, we have some unions. So these unions screw into here, like so. And then we'll have our valve. So our valve, so this is what we can open and close in order to allow the, oh, it's really sticky, in order to allow the water to flow in and out, right there. On the outside of this, we'll probably end up having another piece of pipe too, but we do have a little cap that goes in here and screws on. So that cap just ensures that if while we're driving somehow this opens, the gray water tank's not going to empty. Although in Alberta, that's not illegal to drain your gray water tank. It is illegal to drain your septic tank. But as long as your gray water tank has no food particles, it's not illegal to drain it on the ground. So in some places we will be taking advantage of that, but when necessary we have the tank in case we need to store our gray water and dispose of it in a septic system as required by whatever state or country or province we're in. So yeah, that's that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole in the top of the tank. This is the bottom of the tank that we have facing up right now, but we're going to drill a hole in the top of the tank. We're going to install all these fittings before we put the tank into the bus, because we don't actually have access to the top of the tank once the tank's in the bus, just due to the positioning of the frame rails and all that kind of stuff. So we got to put these guys in, drill those holes as high up in the tank as we can so that this is able to fill as much as possible, basically, because our gray water tank is a little bit smaller than our freshwater tank. So now we know not all our gray water ends up in our gray water tank, but just in case. So yeah, that's what we're up to now, and let's get to it. Alright guys, so the frame is fully painted and the tank is, all the fittings are installed that we're going to install in it. So it's ready to go in the bus. So what we need to do now is marry the tank with the frame and then put it in the bus. We went and put the bus up on a whole bunch of wood, 2x6s and 2x8s to get it, I guess 4.5 inches higher on the driver's side. So that it'll hopefully be easier to slide the tank frame in and out. If that's not high enough, we're gonna have to back it down and try and lift it up more. Because when I was putting the frame in before, I'd have to like tilt it sideways and then kind of slide it in, which is not gonna work once you put the tank in there. So that's what we got. Let's move the tank over there and see if we can get it under the bus. Okay, Beans, so after much monkeying around, the tank is finally in here. She's all mounted. It seems to be really nice and solid, so I'm pretty stoked about that. So now what I need to do is we need to put on the valve fitting on the bottom of the tank. Then we need to get the bus off of the planks that it's up on right now. And then we need to fill this tank with water. And I know that sounds weird. You're like, why would you fill it with water? Because I want to make sure that the tank kind of gets weighted and sits down into the frame as needed before we go and start filling this all with insulation and that kind of stuff. So I want to make sure this tank's going to kind of sit where it wants to sit before we do that. So in order to do that, I need to obviously plug this big hole in the bottom of the tank. So that's what I'm going to do now. I think I showed you guys how we're going to do this. So we have this valve like this. We put a piece of 1.5 inch pipe in here. This guy goes on the other side, and then we can move that valve out however we need. We need it to basically just sit just outside the edge of the tank here, just so that we can operate it. And basically that's it. Then we'll take some all-round, which is this stuff right here. It's like, I don't know, like steel string almost, but it's like you put in a screw and that kind of stuff in there, and then it like you screw it on and it will hold stuff up. I don't really know. That's just what it's used for. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do now. And then we'll fill it up with water and test it out. So let's get that done. Okay, Booger Beans, before we go any further on the build here, the water tank install is almost done. I just wanted to say thank you to our 500 subscribers here on YouTube. It's absolutely awesome that we've made it that far. We're on the next goal of 1,000 subscribers. But to say thank you, we would like to do a giveaway for 2 of our subscribers. We are going to give away a hoodie and a free t-shirt. All you have to do is be subscribed to our channel and comment down below that you want free stuff. Tell us something about you, tell us your favorite type of ice cream, or even just say you want free stuff in the comments down below. And we'll do a giveaway for that on this episode, our next episode, and then the episode on October 1st is the episode where we'll be announcing the winner of our 500 subscriber giveaway. So it gives you 3 episodes to subscribe, comment, like, share it around, get as many people as you can. The more comments, likes, and shares we get on each video, the more people we'll grow with, and the larger chances that we can do our 1,000 subscriber giveaway even sooner. So thanks for all that, guys. Thanks for going down, smashing that subscribe button, hitting the like button. Okay guys, so as you can see, I put the all around on there. So what I have to do is I have to get some small 1/8 inch bolts, and I bolt these 2 pieces together, and that tightens up the strap, and same on the other side. And then once we do that, this pipe won't move back or forth or anywhere. That's got lots of strength, but even now it's at least got some support, so it's not just hanging on the elbow back here. But now the tank's ready for water, so we got this closed. We got our cap in. I am gonna go and get the garden hose, and we'll fill her up. And we probably won't fill it all the way up. We'll probably just put maybe half a tank or something like that. It's just a lot of water just to dump out the spout. So I'll probably just put in like half the tank, and then we'll see how she settles and see what breaks or doesn't break. So yeah, let's get to it. Hi Bean, so as you can hear behind me, the water is starting to run into the tank. So I'm probably not gonna, like I said, I'm probably not gonna fill it up all the way. It's just, unfortunately, it's just a waste of water. But what I wanna see is, as the tank fills up, I wanna make sure that A, nothing's gonna break when it holds the weight. I don't think that's possible. And I think this is really overbuilt, and I think this is more than strong enough. But I just wanna make sure it's gonna hold the weight. I wanna make sure that none of the fittings are leaking. Yeah, just want to make sure that the water works. That's really it. Then we'll just take them, open up the valve, and let it drain. Should be no issues. So yeah, we're just gonna wait and let the water fill up. Okay, Beans, so laid out on the floor behind me is our 4 315 watt solar panels. So we got those from a company called Black Sheep Solar out of Saskatoon is where we bought them off from him. We are going to be running 2 panels in series and another set of 2 panels in series. Then we'll run those both together in parallel. So what this does is it combines our voltage to bring it to the maximum our MPPT, or actually just under the maximum our MPPT controller can handle, but it keeps the amperage lower, which means we're able to use smaller wiring, and it also means that we aren't running our MPPT at the absolute max amperage that it can run all the time. So it just helps with longevity. We are able to get all of our connections and wiring from a place in Red Deer called CBI Solar. They're great people there. They helped us out. They got our stuff super quick, and in like a couple minutes they had us good to go and out the door. So I have them laid out on the floor right now just so that I can do the wiring and get it all figured out in here. Then we'll go put them on top of the bus and mount them to the top of the bus and go from there. Yeah, that's the panels. Should be good. Should be a pretty simple install. I think I've got it pretty well planned out. We've got all the steel, we've got all the parts we need to make this go in the bus pretty easily. So it's just time and work now, so let's get to it. Okay, all the wiring is set up. It all works. Well, can't tell if it works until we plug it in. But all the connectors work together and all the glands and all that stuff is working. So now what we need to do is figure out how we're going to mount it on the roof. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is use some pieces of angle, a 2-inch piece of angle. I'll put 2 holes through the roof of the bus. Then we're going to use rivnuts to put through the roof and lock those pieces of angle down. Then I'll put a bolt through the top of the angle into the solar panel frame, and then we'll screw that bolt shut, or screw that bolt tight, I guess, and that should be good. We're gonna have probably, I think, 4 of those per side on every single solar panel. So we'll have 8 nuts, 16 nuts on the whole thing holding it to the roof. I think that should be more than enough. The rivnuts have like a 500-pound pull-out force, so if you have 8 of them, you're talking like 4,000 pounds. Now I know it can get windy on top of the bus. It is possible, but I don't think that solar panel frame itself can hold that amount of weight, so I'm not really worried about that. Once we get on top of the roof and we get all the rivnuts put in, all that kind of stuff, then we will use a polyurethane white sealant, and we'll just seal up the whole thing, seal on top of the angle, all around this angle, through the rivet, or through the rivnut, and it should all be sealed and waterproofed, and shouldn't have any issues with water in the future. So that's the plan, and now to start the mounting. Let's get to it. So here is all the brackets we've made. So 2 holes for the bus, 1 hole for the solar panel. These are 5/16 holes, but they'll actually be a metric M8 rivnut, because for some reason the rivnuts that I have are metric. So that's what they'll be. That's all we can do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill and mount these to the solar panels first, and then we'll drill the holes on the roof once they're in place where they need to go, and then we'll go from there. panels up on the roof, and they are really big. They take up a lot more real estate than I thought they were going to take up, but they look pretty good up there. The first brackets are all rivnutted to the ceiling. Seems to work. There's a little bit more movement than I wanted. So I'm going to end up putting 5 brackets on each side instead of only 3. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly make up those brackets out of the 3-inch steel that I have here. And what we'll do is we'll have another bracket basically however far out as the roof curves, however far out it is till it drops an inch, that's where we'll put the bracket. And then we'll put another bracket right out on the corners, and that will probably be like a welded bracket that I'll actually have to build. But they're a lot longer than I thought they were on top of the roof, and the roof curves a lot more than I thought it did. So they kind of stick out like a little bit. So I want to make sure that as we're driving, or if there's any wind or anything like that, it's not going to catch them and throw them off of the roof. So yeah, that's where we're at. We'll keep chugging along and go from there. Okay, Booger Beans, the solar panels are mounted on the roof. So this was a total pain in the butt to try and mount these on the roof. I mounted them in the first position, measured completely wrong, ended up having 6 inches of overlap where the panel was on top of the roof hatch, which doesn't work, obviously. So we had to take out all those holes, seal them, fill them up. Then we had to move the panel further back, put all the panels back in. But it seems to work. So how we have these held on the roof is we are using something called a rivnut. That's these guys right here. They look like this. That's a rivnut. What happens is this goes into the metal, this squishes down, and it basically makes a big washer on the back side of the metal. On 032 material, these rivnuts take 500 pounds of vertical force to rip them out. Our roof is 16 gauge, so it's a little bit thicker than that, so it should be more than 500 pounds, but I'm just using 500 pounds as a number because I can't find an actual number for 16 gauge. So we have 12 of those holding each panel on, so that's theoretically 6,000 pounds to rip those panels off. I haven't done a wind load calculation to figure out if that's enough. They are basically like 3.5 foot by 6.5 foot kite on top of the roof. So you got to make sure they're put on there pretty strong. I might put some straps on the edges, on the outsides of the panels, just to ensure that they aren't going to flap or wiggle as we go down the highway. So I'm going to work on that. I'm probably just going to take some 1-inch flat bar, put it down, bend it, crank it on. And again, it would just be for tension to help stop this happening as it goes down the highway. They feel really, really solid, so I'm pretty stoked about that. All that's left to do now is do the wiring. All the wiring is basically ready to go. All we have to do to complete the wiring is hook it up. We did all the wiring on the ground in the shop, so I just have to hit the connectors together and it's ready to go. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to take all this stuff obviously off the roof, clean up the roof, and do some waterproofing, and then we'll show you guys it running and set up. I don't know. We still got a bit of sunlight, so I'm hoping I'll be able to finish all that before the sun goes down, but we'll see. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, Beans, so we got it set up. There it's saying that it's charging the battery, and the battery supplying the load. Currently, as you can see on this little panel, it says the PV panel is producing 26.6 volts
at 0.2 amps. So not much charge right now, but the sun has basically gone down outside. It's just before sunset right now. So we'll check that again in the morning, but it seems to be working. Everything seems to have turned on, and yeah, pretty stoked. So we'll check back in on in the morning, and we'll wrap up this episode. Sorry about the mess in here. We definitely need to do some wire management, but we'll get it figured out. Okay, Beans, so it's the next morning. The sun is up, and here's kind of what's going on. So the cells are producing 85.4 volts, and the batteries are all the way fully charged this morning to 27.7 volts. So yeah, it's working great. Pretty stoked about that. But that is where we're going to end this episode. Don't forget about the 500 subscriber giveaway. We still have 2 more episodes before we'll be doing that. I think it's October 1st that we'll be doing that episode or that giveaway. So go down, comment you want free stuff, and smash that subscribe button. You must be a subscriber in order to be entered. And yeah, we'll be giving that away at the beginning of October. Thank you so much for joining us, loving our adventures, giving us tips and tricks as we go. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and have a great night.